Been watching a lot of the show Cops lately. You guys watch that show? I watch it a lot. It's a very amusing show to me. I laugh a lot when I watch it. You know, these stupid, ignorant, redneck fucking motherfuckers on this show, you would not believe the stuff that comes out of their mouths. And the criminals are awful too. Basically, I'm not here to talk about the criminals. I'm here to talk about the cops. Just from watching the show Cops. And I'm going to tell you some problems I have with the show Cops. Not some problems I have with the show Cops, because the show Cops is a great fucking show. Some problems I have with actual fucking cops. Since I saw Warren 25 Smash was doing his Cops video, where he really kind of unfairly ripped into cops for things that... There's the actions of a few cops. I'm not here to say, oh, well, this cop beat up some black guy and called him a nigger and stuff, so obviously all cops are racist. Or, you know, this cop did this or this cop did that, so obviously all cops are evil motherfuckers. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to make broad generalizations about cops based upon the actions of a few individuals. I'm here to make broad generalizations about cops based on the actions of all cops. And I feel I've watched enough of the show Cops, I've watched enough of these fucking court TV shows, and I've known enough cops to fucking know the mindset here and to fucking criticize these bastards just a little bit. Now, cops are necessary evil. You'll never hear me advocate that we have no fucking cops, okay? I'll never say that, so don't ever put those words in my mouth. However, I think we could do with a fuck of a lot less of them, and I think we could do with a fuck of a lot less crimes. First of all, I want to say right off the bat, I don't care how good they are as human beings. I don't care if they're the nicest guys in the world. They're still enforcing rules that I don't agree with. They're still enforcing rules that are totalitarian, that are fascist, that make no fucking sense. You know, so I mean, I'm here to criticize them on a few points. First of all, I'd like to say that of the cops that I've known and of the cops I've seen on TV, these are all people who are failures. Okay, every single last one of them is a fucking failure. You can tell by the way they talk, you can tell by the way they act. I've known cops in my life. A lot of times a cop is someone who who played football in high school, was a real popular guy, used to beat up on little smaller guys. They didn't beat up on me because I'm bigger than all those motherfuckers, but they beat up on the little small guys, the little weak guys they knew couldn't fight back and stuff. You know, not so much beat on them, but, you know, just threaten to beat on them and make their lives a living hell and, you know, just fuck with them all the time. Just mess with their fucking heads and make them fear for walking down the hallway and stuff like that. Like the little tyrants they are, with their little Nazi hard-ons poking out of their little jeans and stuff. And they're walking down the hall with their heads held high. And if anyone should dare to make eye contact with them, well, that's World War III, because they rule the school. Then high school ends. Those glory days end. They're no longer allowed to, their scholastic inability is no longer ignored because their physical prowess is no longer in demand. I mean, the ones that don't get sports scholarships are completely fucked. So they end up working a series of dead-end jobs here and there, all over the place, until eventually, around the age of 25, they decide, hey, I need to get that old power back, and they stumble on to being a police officer. And then they finally have that old power back where they can, you know, make people's lives hell again. They can go up to people and harass you and all kinds of stuff. It's great. I just love the attitude of a cop when they fucking pull you over for speeding on the fucking roads that your tax dollars pay for. I love it when they come up to your door with their window and they knock on it. You have to roll it down and give them, you know, a state-issued license and a proof of the insurance that the government has mandated that you must have. And they look at that stuff and they make their little snide remarks, and you have to smile and be respectful. Yeah, they love that respect. That's what they want. That respect. They don't give a shit that their respect is based totally on fear, totally on falsehood. Not real respect whatsoever. You respect nothing about these fucking people. At least I don't. But they have to feel like they're being respected because that's their lot in life. That's all they care about is that respect, artificial or not, that comes along with their little badge. And of course, yeah, not all cops are like that, but guess what? Most are. Sorry. And in America, all the cops are fat. Big old fat motherfuckers, even fatter than I am. Big fat motherfuckers out there on the police force. I remember there was a few years back, a police chief said, hey, this police force needs to get in shape. We got too many fat guys on this force. You know what they did with that police chief? They fired his ass. Because cops aren't gonna take that shit from no police chief. They're not gonna give up no Dunkin' Donuts, man. They put their lives on the line on the streets every night to keep us safe. No, it's not just a power trip. They're not just out there to get a high off of their abuse of power. They're not out there just to bust some drug dealers' heads, and they're not just out there pounding on minorities because it makes them feel good. They're out there protecting you from all the dangers out there, like speeders and, people who do drugs, all those dangerous people out there. Cops should be out there protecting people from violence. They should be out there stopping people from stabbing and shooting one another. Yeah, that's fine, because those are crimes that have what we call victims. But if your crime is that you are going to inject some heroin into your arm, or you're going to pay someone to have sex with you, and the only person you're putting at risk is yourself and the other consenting adult in the situation, and you're not going to get behind the wheel of a vehicle and drive in some kind of altered state or something like that and bring other people into it, then I don't see what the fucking problem is, and neither do most people I fucking talk to about it. And of course, there's always some people that have some little bullshit excuse, some little reason why drugs should be dangerous. They ask me questions like, well, don't you know how dangerous these drugs are? Well, yeah, that's completely irrelevant and moot, but yeah, I do know how dangerous they are. They are less dangerous than the 2 legal drugs. They're less dangerous than doctors. Because more people die in the U.S. from medical malpractice and from being prescribed the wrong drugs by doctors than die by using illicit drugs. Isn't that kind of fucked up? The people who go to medical school for 8 years are less trustworthy than the neighborhood drug dealer at the meth lab. Isn't that kind of fucked? Yeah, but I do know how dangerous drugs are. Drugs are dangerous. A lot of things are fucking dangerous that aren't fucking illegal. NASCAR racing is not exactly a fucking safe pastime, but it's still allowed. It's still legal. No one is advocating. No sane person is saying that NASCAR should be banned. Look at all these air shows. I've seen plenty of videos of these air shows where these fucking planes crash, and then if they crashed just a little differently, they could have taken out entire fucking crowds. Huge fucking explosions as these fucking jets crash in the ground. These $1 million jets, too. Jets that cost, multi-millions of dollars, crashing into the fucking ground and exploding into flames. Could kill the audience. No one cares. It's all good American fun. Oh, yeah, it may be dangerous, but you know what? It's still legal. Lots of things are dangerous and still legal. Why are drugs the exception? I'm not here to this isn't a drug rant, this is a cop rant. But in order for you to understand how ridiculous the cop's job is, you have to understand how ridiculous the drug laws are. And if you are a libertarian like myself, and I know a lot of my subscribers are, then you already know how ridiculous the drug laws are. So why would you be supportive of the people enforcing those drug laws? You can say, yeah, they don't believe the same way I do, and they're just doing what they think is right, but, a lot of people throughout history have done what they thought was right, and only to find out that it really wasn't. I'm sure that a lot of people in Germany thought killing all the Jews and gypsies was the right thing to do. If they hadn't thought it was the right thing to do, they wouldn't have done it. People are not evil by nature. People do not want to do evil things by nature. But people will do evil things if they are convinced that they are actually correct things, that they're actually the right thing to do, that they will actually be positive in the long run. And that happens time and time again. You see it happening every fucking day. People, that's why they have the saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So, I don't think that the good intentions of our men in blue, our men and women in blue, so I don't think that the good intentions of our men and women in blue are any justification for them enforcing draconian laws that make no fucking sense whatsoever, and I have no respect for them whatsoever. I have respect for some of them as individuals. as I respect almost all people once I get to know them individually, but I don't respect the position of police officer. I don't respect what they do. I think it is a bullshit job. And, I know that a lot of people will inevitably watch this video and respond with, well, what if there's some criminals at your house? You're going to call the police then? Yeah, I'm going to call the police after I blow the burglar's fucking head off for trying to fuck with my shit. I'm not going to call the police and expect them to drive down here and save my ass before the burglar gets in. I'm going to take care of that shit myself and then have them come and clean up the mess. I don't need them. But, I'm not worried. When people say, how are you going to protect yourself without the police? I ask them, how are you going to protect yourself from the police if they ever turn against you? What happens when they come for your ass, What happens when you're the one on the opposite side of the law there, buddy? Yeah, maybe you're in the right, maybe you're in the wrong, it doesn't really matter. If they come for you, they fucking come for you. So, I don't know that, and I'm not too comfortable with the police in another respect because I view them in many ways as just a codified gang. They're just like the Crips or the Bloods. The only difference is that they get state funding, and they have to follow a few arbitrary little guidelines, and as soon as the cameras aren't rolling, those guidelines go out the fucking window. I've seen it 1,000 times. It doesn't matter what color you are, they'll harass the fuck out of you. I know this is hearsay because I wasn't actually present, but I know there was some kids loitering outside the bowling alley down in Covington, Louisiana, down in Mandeville, Louisiana, where a lot of teenagers, hang out outside the bowling alley, and some cops came by and said, hey, you kids are fucking loitering, get the fuck out of here, you have 10 seconds to leave and get the fuck out of here. And one of the kids asked, well, what are we doing? And the cop responded by bashing him in the stomach with a nightstick and telling him, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, so that's of course just the actions of one cop, but it's not like just one thing, it's widespread. I've heard horror stories from a bunch of my friends down there in the Louisiana area, not really my friends, my brother's friends. I don't really have any friends because I'm not very friendly. But I've heard plenty of stories of the little Wiccan kids, mostly, those little kids who describe themselves as Wiccans, the little kids who describe themselves as pagans, the little kids who describe themselves as goths or emos or whatever the fuck they are this week. They have a lot of trouble with the police because they dress differently, because they act a little bit differently, because they have a slightly different system of values, not truly different. Their social rebellion is, of course, totally artificial and concocted mostly by the media, and they're just following the same thing. Hot Topic is owned by the fucking Gap. How counterculture can you really be? The point is, though, that the cops fill their little role perfectly and go there and harass these fucking kids just because they are not all American looking like they were back when they were in fucking high school. I know that for a fact that cops think like that because if you watch enough episodes of Cops, you will hear a lot of the cops. You will hear a lot of reoccurring sentiments. You'll hear a lot of recurring sentiments coming from these cops' mouths. I've heard at least 7 cops on that show say that good, honest, hard-working people, good, honest people work during the day and go to sleep at night, and that only the nasty, evil people are out after the dark hour, after dark, People who do that kind of stuff, ooh man, they're just nasty people. They go out at night and they eat babies and, rape, murder, and destruction and stuff, when most of these people are just fucking pathetic losers looking for the next hit. By the way, isn't it kind of interesting that they sell crack pipes at 7-Eleven in the ghetto? Did you know that? Did you know that major convenience stores in the ghettos of America sell crack pipes? I bet you a lot of white America doesn't know that. It's not really too related to what we're talking about, but it's kind of interesting, isn't it? And when the story broke that they were selling crack pipes in these stores, obviously they weren't sold as crack pipes, but they were being sold specifically because there was a market for crack pipes there. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing really wrong with that because I am a libertarian, as I said, and I believe in a free market. I believe that you should provide for the people's interests. And if there's demand, there should be supply. However, I think it's kind of strange that these corporations would so disingenuously stock their stores full of paraphernalia for illicit drugs, that the same stores, and then kind of try to keep their little nice sanitary public image afterwards. It kind of baffles the fucking mind. I've probably talked about this long enough, but the point you should come away with here is that cops are thugs. They're just a codified gang. They're not, the policeman is not your fucking friend. And, I have nothing against individual police officers. If you are a cop watching this, I would assume if I have as many subscribers as I do, that there's probably at least someone in there who is or who knows a cop, who is probably a really decent person, and it's not my intent to offend that person. It's not my intent to offend whoever might be offended by this. If you're watching this and you are offended, then I think you should understand that I'm not trying to rag on individual cops or call them bad people or anything like that. I'm just saying that there is a mentality present there that is blanketing the vast majority of these people, that they really do think like this for the large part, and there's a weird Leave It to Beaver attitude going on there. I hear them say things like wholesome and good hard working and stuff, that really lingo that really has not been in vogue, really has not been part of the common American vernacular for quite some time now. Very strange things, very anachronistic ways of speaking, very anachronistic ways of thinking. And I'd like to see some fucking liberal cops out there. Why do I only see ultra-hardcore conservative cops? I know liberals believe in laws. I guess maybe liberals are waiting until the laws make sense before they start enforcing them. And I'd like to see some different points of view here. I'd like to see some different philosophies within these police departments. I don't want to just see one prevalent ideology that seems to dominate every single cop, every single police station's philosophy throughout the country. I'd like to see some different ideas. I'd like to see some different methods of enforcement. And I'd like to see different things being enforced. I'd like to see crimes that actually have victims being enforced rather than crimes that only adversely affect the people involved. But I'm starting to repeat myself. I really just need to stop talking. I'm sure I'll edit this down. It's probably about 20 minutes as I've been speaking it, but I'll edit it down to probably like 15 or something. Anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble, and peace out.